If you woke up tomorrow and everything you've built was completely wiped out, your bank account drained, your career shattered, and you were thrown onto the streets with absolutely nothing, what would you do? Would you break down and curse the universe? Or would you smile and whisper to yourself, "Thank you for setting me free"? We are living in an era of emotionally exhausted men, where every night passes in the deafening silence of loneliness and the crushing weight of financial survival. You are trapped in an invisible cage built by the digital world, where every mindless scroll exposes you to someone else's highlight reel of luxury, planting the toxic seed of FOMO, the agonizing fear that you are falling behind, the pressure to make it before 30, to achieve financial freedom, and to flex high-status material possessions just to prove your worth has choked out your drive to take real action. You are so anxious that you can't sleep. You procrastinate because you're terrified of failing, and you escape into cheap, instant dopamine hits on your phone just to numb the reality. But let's be honest, those hollow motivational quotes online aren't going to save your life. Today, I am bringing you a practical roadmap for action, a raw mental antidote distilled from the 7 ultimate Stoic lessons of the greatest emperors, philosophers, and warriors in human history. Listen closely, absorb every single word, because the final lesson will hand you the master key to a state of absolute freedom that no force on earth can ever strip away. The first lesson, and the absolute bedrock of masculine character, is mastering your reaction through the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a philosopher born in the chains of slavery, crippled, and forced to endure extreme poverty for half his life, understood absolute self-mastery better than anyone. He realized that life is divided into 2 distinct halves. On one side are the things within your control, your thoughts, your goals, your efforts, and your reactions. On the other side are the variables completely outside your control, the state of the economy, the weather, other people's opinions, and the final outcome of your endeavors. In modern finance and career, we don't fail because we lack talent. We fail because we violate a strict rule of emotional management. We waste 90% of our mental energy worrying about things we cannot control, leaving only 9% for theory and a miserable 1% for execution. Look at Epictetus's jaw-dropping composure when his brutal master began twisting his leg for amusement. He didn't scream or beg. He simply warned him that if he kept going, the leg would break, and when the bone shattered with a cold snap, he merely smiled and said, "Did I not tell you it would break?" Your physical body can be chained by circumstance, but your mind is an impregnable fortress that no one can breach unless you willingly hand over the keys. Stop complaining about the recession. Stop fearing the judgment of the crowd, and channel 100% of your energy into sharpening your skills, optimizing your budget, and relentlessly executing your long-term plan. The second lesson teaches us how to invert adversity, turning the obstacle into the way so we can rise stronger from the ashes of failure. Let's travel back to the shores of ancient Athens to witness the fateful shipwreck of Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Zeno was an incredibly wealthy merchant, dealing in Tyrian purple dye, a substance as valuable as liquid gold, laboriously extracted by hand from thousands of decaying murex sea snails to color the robes of emperors. But in a single night, a violent storm swallowed his entire fortune, washing him ashore in a foreign city with absolutely nothing. Dressed in salt-crusted rags, standing at the precipice of despair, he sought guidance from the Delphic oracle and received a cryptic prophecy. Take on the complexion of the dead. Stepping into a small bookstore and reading Xenophon's accounts of Socrates, Zeno suddenly understood. He needed to converse with and learn from the minds of the great thinkers who had passed before him, to cure his lingering pride and strip him of the ego of a formerly rich man. His first mentor, the Cynic Crates, made him carry a pot of lentil soup through the crowded Ceramicus pottery district. When Zeno, overcome with shame, tried to hide the pot under his cloak, Crates smashed it with his staff, leaving the hot soup pouring down Zeno's legs in front of a staring crowd. As Zeno panicked and tried to run, Crates yelled after him, "Why run? My little Phoenician? Nothing terrible has happened to you." That brutal lesson forged an iron spirit in Zeno. Years later, looking back on the catastrophe that ruined his business, he declared, "I made a prosperous voyage when I was shipwrecked." For a real man, a financial collapse or a career setback is never the end. It is the universe clearing away the clutter, forcing you to strip off the superficial and build wealth that is truly indestructible, your inner character. The third lesson is practicing voluntary poverty to build immunity against the toxic allure of lifestyle inflation. Seneca, despite owning a massive fortune that could buy entire cities and serving as the advisor to Emperor Nero, routinely set aside a few days every month to live like a pauper. He would sleep on the hard floor, eat nothing but plain oats or lentil soup, wear rough, tattered clothes, and ask himself over and over, "Is this the condition that I feared?" Excessive comfort and luxury are quiet poisons that slowly decay a man's willpower, turning him into a slave to his own desires. You don't fear losing your job or failing because you're afraid of starving. You fear it because you're terrified of losing the status symbols, the fine dining, and the expensive clothes you use to impress people who don't care about you anyway. Remember the tragic but legendary moment when Nero ordered Seneca to commit suicide. He accepted his fate with absolute calm, slit his wrists in the bath, and turned to his weeping friends, asking, "Where are the teachings of philosophy we practiced for so many years? Where is the courage we built against adversity?" When you voluntarily practice deprivation and learn to be content with the bare essentials of survival, you unlock a supreme truth. The needs of nature are incredibly cheap and easy to satisfy. It is only the pursuit of superficial, meaningless desires that forces men to sell their souls, sweat their lives away, and surrender their freedom. The fourth and fifth lessons emphasize the nobility of silent, grinding labor and investing in your core value. Look at the life of Cleanthes of Assos, a poor boxer who arrived in Athens with only 4 spare coins in his pocket to pay for Zeno's philosophy lectures during the day. Cleanthes worked all night carrying well water for local gardeners. His quiet, relentless hustle under the cover of darkness eventually made the supreme court of Athens suspicious, and he was summoned to prove he wasn't earning money illegally. When Cleanthes brought the gardeners and the woman he drew water for to testify, the judges were so blown away by his work ethic that they awarded him a massive sum of money just to support his education. Cleanthes proved a profound truth. No job is beneath you if it serves a noble purpose. He compared humans to a dog tied to a moving cart. If the dog cooperates and trots along, it enjoys the journey and remains free. But if it stubbornly resists, it gets dragged and choked anyway. This relentless drive is mirrored in modern sports. When superstar Eric Cantona mockingly labeled midfielder Didier Deschamps a mere water carrier, implying he was just a talentless brute who did the dirty work while others shined, Deschamps calmly replied, "A water carrier? Yes, that's exactly what I am." Great teams aren't built just by architects. They need bricklayers and hod carriers. Deschamps went on to lift the World Cup both as a player and a coach, ultimately being voted higher than Cantona in the French Player of the Century rankings. Not bad for a water carrier. A Stoic man never complains about his starting point or his current job. When a project fails or a boss yells, they don't waste time playing the victim. They put their head down, focus on execution, and quietly accumulate high-value skills. Because while material wealth can vanish in an instant, your competence is an armor that stays with you forever. The sixth and seventh lessons are mastering your time and meditating on your mortality. Seneca warned us of a brutal truth. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it on things that do not matter. Every single morning, when you feel lazy and want to crawl back under the warm sheets. Remember the wake-up call of Emperor Marcus Aurelius. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain about? If I'm going to do what I was born for, or was I created to huddle under the blankets and stay warm? Build a strict morning ritual, rise before the sun, spend 10 minutes journaling your reflections, and mentally prepare for the chaos, the difficult people, and the setbacks you will inevitably face during the day. Anticipating the worst ensures you are never caught off guard, keeping you calm, steady, and ready to lead. And above all, live with the spirit of Memento Mori. Remember that you must die. Death is not a morbid thought to fear. It is the ultimate focusing tool to cut through petty anxieties, cheap desires, and chronic procrastination. When you realize that every passing day is a piece of your life that has already died and now belongs to the grave, you will naturally stop wasting time. Focus completely on what actually matters, and live with absolute, unshakable intent. Right now, let's pause and perform a quick mental check. Do you have a problem in your life? If the answer is no, then why are you wasting your time worrying? If the answer is yes, then ask yourself, can you do something about it? If you can, then stand up and take action immediately. Why worry? But if the answer is no, meaning the outcome is completely outside of your control, then accept your fate with absolute composure. Because worrying or complaining won't change reality. So why worry? All your anxiety is just a form of useless self-torture. Are you allowing fears beyond your control to dictate how you live your life? Are you wasting the precious years of your youth chasing fake internet points, while neglecting to train your mind and build high-value skills? Becoming a Stoic man does not mean living a cold, emotionless life of miserable deprivation. On the contrary, it is a courageous choice to build an unshakable inner core, allowing you to take massive, ruthless action toward your financial goals while maintaining absolute peace of mind in the face of life's storms. You build wealth through your talent and discipline, but you never let money or the opinions of the crowd become the master of your character. If you've stuck with me until the very end of this video, it proves that you are a man who is hungry for real change, ready to shed your lazy habits and step onto the path of self-mastery. Write down in the comments below which of these 7 lessons you are going to execute in your life starting today. That isn't just a regular comment. It is your official declaration of war on your old self, witnessed by a community of disciplined men. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next blueprints on building wealth and mental armor. Thank you for your focus. And remember, the shipwreck you are going through today might just be the start of the greatest voyage of your life.